Hey everyone, you guys made it just in the nick of crime. Hope you guys are having a good day. So we did this yesterday. I tried to promise you guys that I would go live on YouTube 3 days a week. That's what I'm committing to. So this will be day 2 for the week. If you are watching this on TikTok, you obviously can stay there. I always will run this stuff at the same time. But know that we're going to be having hopefully a guest if he shows up, which hopefully he will soon, to talk about Angie Solomon with me, as well as the audio that came from the body cam footage that was showed in court with her allegedly hiring a hitman. So you guys wanted a breakdown on this case or an update on this case, things like that. So that's kind of what we're doing. So anyways, if you guys don't mind, if it's your first time here on YouTube, you're coming over from TikTok, whatever, to hear the audio and stuff like that, please do me a solid, hit that subscribe button. It is the same as a follow, costs you absolutely nothing to do it. And it helps me on my way to 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, which I'm at 42 and change. And TikTok, we always are trying to grow there, so you guys know what you need to do. Now, please hit that screen. We're so close to 10,000. That would be great. Would love it. And all the comments roll in. I see you guys. I appreciate it. So real quick, before I get into, I got my housekeeping items. I'm going to tell you what we're talking about today. All right. So there is a case out of Tennessee, Angie Solomon, and it's a very convoluted case. There's a lot of layers to it. And if you're coming in late, you might not know what we're talking about. If you've been following it, you know some of what we're talking about. And there's been a lot of developments when it comes to the fact that Angie Solomon has been arrested. And so really the whole goal of this is just to kind of bring you up to speed if you've never heard about it, or if you have heard about it, kind of let you know what's currently going on. Because I'm just going to be real frank with you. If half of what I know from my very, very reliable source is true, this case is going to be huge, like Murdaugh, huge. All right. So before we get into that, let me real quick just do my housekeeping items that I have to do. So you guys know that I wrote a book. Hold on. If you didn't know, I have it here. Where is it? TikTokers. That's it, because you can't see anything. I wrote it. I actually wrote 3 books, but this is the only one I have left because I ordered too many of them and I'm trying to sell them before TikTok possibly goes away. And then if TikTok doesn't go away, I'll reorder new books. It's called Boundaries. It's designed, if you are one of those people who have family members that you don't talk to, or wanting to teach your kids boundaries, or wanting to share with your kids why you might not have certain people in your life, this is the book to do it. It is the only resource like it. You can purchase it in TikTok shop or justthennickofcrime.com. It is currently the lowest price it will ever be, as I'm trying to unload basically the inventory so I can get a fresh stack of inventory. So it is literally my cost. I make no profit off of it. It's just the cost of it and shipped to you. That's it. So if you guys want it, please go do that. The other thing that I'll share with you is Substack. I have been trying to grow my Substack and my Instagram. Substack can be through the link in my bio. So with Instagram, through the link in my bio, and TikTok. And here, guys, it is in the description notes of the video. And I've really been liking Substack. I haven't been doing as many articles lately because I've had a lot going on, but we're trying to get back into it. But I absolutely love Substack. It's really a great way to kind of connect with an audience, give you guys a little bit more information, and really have true independent journalism without the censors, without the filters, which is pretty great. And then the last thing I want to share with you guys is Real Victims. I talked about this before. It's been a couple months since we dropped an episode, but the first episode was with Gabby Petito's family. Basically, we had them go over the movie that Lifetime did about them without their permission and talk about that. And the goal of Real Victims is to make sure that Hollywood is held accountable, that Hollywood doesn't take these victims and just monopolize, make millions of dollars off their story, especially without calling them. And we have some pretty big episodes coming up. I think we're supposed to be recording with Joe Exotic as one of them coming up, hopefully on Saturday. And then we have some other people we're trying to get down from the Tiger King as well to talk about what Joe is going to talk about, and then to talk about their sides of the story as well. So we are working on that right now, and hopefully we're going to start the recording of that on Saturday. And then we have a few other big ones lined up that are coming up. So of course, I'll make sure that you guys know that as well. Now, with that being said, let's go back and talk about Angie Solomon. All right. So Angie, you have Angie, Grant, and Gracie. And if you're on YouTube, you can see the picture. Okay. And I'm sure you can guess who's who. Angie's in the middle. Grant was a star baseball player. This is the Nashville, Tennessee area, and he passed away mysteriously in July of 2020. And what I mean by that is that, and I don't have in this episode at least the documents to show you, like the medical examiner, the police report, things like that, but I have them somewhere. I just need to find them. But basically what happened was Grant lives in Franklin, Tennessee, which is about 40 miles away from where he passed away in Gallatin, Tennessee. And his dad had brought him up with the intention of having some sort of a baseball camp. And as the story goes, according to the police reports and according to the dad's story, uh, basically while Aaron was trying to get equipment out of the back of his truck, his was a 5-year-old, I think it was 2005 Toyota, or sorry, a 2015 Toyota Tacoma. He was getting equipment out of the back of the truck, and the truck just started to run over him. And you might think, okay, well, this car was maybe a manual transmission, popped out of gear. And no, this was an automatic. And what's interesting about it, because I've seen the photos, I've seen the scene pictures, and it's very weird because the abrasions on Grant don't really match what is said in the police report or what's said in the medical report. The police and medical reports don't match. And the truck, when you look at the photos of the truck that was taken by, the police department people who were on scene, the truck is still in gear. All right. It is still in gear. It was in park. And being a car person, I know that cars can have issues. Okay. Like sometimes they can pop out of gear. Sometimes weird things happen. However, Toyotas typically aren't one of those vehicles, and most modern vehicles aren't those vehicles. There are safety measures in place, and the car was in park. It wasn't like it was still in neutral. It was full on in park. And the other thing that was weird about it, and I really wish I had the pictures to show you guys, but I will do that. We'll do that on another episode because there's going to be a lot more of these. Stuff that was sitting on the front seat that should have knocked over with the jolt and everything were still standing straight up. So his death is mysterious. Now, you listen to the 911 call, which again, I don't have on this one, but we can bring that in later if this is something that you guys want to do. Aaron the father, Aaron, does not seem overly concerned. There's no sense of urgency, anything like that. Allegedly, there are 3 witnesses that supposedly either never came forward or have since come forward. It's very confusing, very convoluted. But at the end of the day, it's a very weird death. It seems very mysterious, and nobody is denying that. Now, the other side of the coin is Gracie, who is still with us. So Gracie, at the time I started working with Angie and Gracie was either 15 or 16 years old, still a child. And at that point in time, she had already posted like an 18-minute video on YouTube, which you can search Gracie Solomon and you can find it. Posted a video when she was about 12 years old, talking about and alleging horrific abuse against her from the age of 2 by her father. Things like her father would be the only one allowed to bathe her, would inappropriately, touch her, would groom her, would give her substances so that she wouldn't be aware of what happened. I mean, it is really some really damning stuff that is said in this video. And on top of that, both Angie and Gracie, if you go to my playlist here on YouTube, the 50 Words for Murder, my 2nd and 3rd episode are Angie and Gracie respectively. And you can hear words from their own mouth from that interview. Now, this story gets really convoluted. And when my friend Zach, our guest, gets in here, he can talk to you a little bit more about some of the layers of this. And you guys are going to be mind is going to be blown. But basically, there are just a ton of layers of this. So all of this starts, there is a church, Grace Chapel Church, that's involved, a certain pastor. This congregation is allegedly the same church that Bill Lee, Tennessee's governor, goes to, as well as several high-powered congressmen, senators, local and state politicians, as well as, in Tennessee, big churches do have a lot of pull, a lot of say. And supposedly, what we were told by Angie at the time was that Grant or Gracie, I think Grant had gone to, I can't remember, I'm trying to go back and think of the story. Zach can correct me, but Grant or Gracie went to the school. Maybe it was Grant or Gracie, sorry, that said it first, talking about the alleged abuse, and supposedly the school covered it up. And there is some weird audio about it, and it does make it sound like the school is kind of trying to cover their tracks on some stuff, on the accusations. At the same time, according to Angie, right before Grant passed away, he had confronted his father on what he had learned was happening to his sister. And that is what Angie says gives the father motive. And it's basically accusing the father, alleging that he is involved, he is responsible for Grant's death. Now, what I can tell you about the father, Aaron Solomon, is that he was a local TV news personality. He was a news anchor and a radio personality. From what I understand, a family of money. And to this day, he has never publicly come out and denied any accusation that has been brought against him, whether it has been him being involved in the death of his son, or whether him being involved in extreme abuse of his daughter. He has never denied it publicly. The only thing that we have had from him is that he has sued people for defamation. And he has also said through his lawyer that he didn't do any of this. But here's the thing. When all this went down, Angie was with pretty much every creator she could get with, whether it was big creators, small creators, every podcaster, anybody who would listen to her tell her story. She was there sharing her story, telling her truth, telling the version of events that she had. All right. She went on Nancy Grace with this. She went on Ashley Banfield with all of this. Okay. But then creator support started to fizzle out. And the reason for that, myself included, was because basically, and I think we can go ahead and say this, and Zach can allude or can give you a little bit more information on it. It wasn't because we didn't believe in the cause and what was going on. It was because Angie started ghosting everybody. We basically, what it felt like was that she was using our platforms to get the story out there and to raise funds that were supposed to be used for exhuming Grant's body or recreating the scene of the accident, having forensic analysis come in, having autopsies done, investigators coming in to check all of this, hire lawyers. And I remember for me specifically, I can't speak for other creators, but for me specifically, we had raised some money off of our platform, and I wanted to follow up with her like, hey, I hadn't heard from you in a while. Wanted to see if I could get an update on Grant and Gracie. I would love to tell my followers more. Obviously, we can't keep asking people to give you money if we don't have updates for them. I'm personally, I'm not comfortable with that. Like, I don't need details. I just need to know, like, hey, what do we have going on? And she completely ghosted me, didn't respond to me. So a couple weeks later, I sent her another text like, hey, like, in case you didn't see this, I know you're busy, got a lot going on. Love to give an update. Nothing. So the final one, look, I don't want to keep bothering you. I definitely want to keep pushing your story. Anyways, I just got ghosted, and she did eventually get back to me almost a year later, and we'll talk about that as we need to. But Zach has just arrived, so let me bring him on real quick. And hey, buddy, how are you?
Good. How are you?
So this is Zachary Heath, and he is a TikTok creator and my friend, and he's also in Tennessee. And you're, of course, welcome, because you don't have at the bottom, Zach, to shout out your handle for people to follow you if they want to. But I know you weren't in here listening to me talk, but basically I kind of gave the gist of the stories that we heard from Angie regarding Grant and Gracie's story. And I was at the point where we were talking when you came in about how creators started getting ghosted. And so you can go back and talk about things that we didn't. So for context for anybody, first of all, on TikTok, you guys will not be able to hear Zach. You'll need to jump over to YouTube if you want to hear him. But for context, Zach was involved in this before I was. And so I'm just going to stop talking and let him talk.
So I had actually seen Grant's story. I don't remember which YouTube channel it was on, but somebody did an in-depth, like hour-long thing when it came to Grant's story. And I had watched that. It was the weekend that a group of creators, we all came to Nashville to do the billboards of, Governor Bill Lee. And we all sat down and watched that together, and we were all like, something weird is going on here. So we immediately jumped on it. We started, we were like, we want justice for this mom and for this child, and nothing added up. I mean, nothing. And I have been to the crime scene in Gallatin. I've been to where the accident scene, I guess is what you should call it. But nothing just added up. But I was one of the first people that started working with Angie face to face. We met with her in Nashville, and coming from the indoctrinated religion and, an indoctrinating Christian school and evangelical Christian church, and that upbringing, a lot of what she was saying, I mean, she had some accusations that were out there, but because of what I had been brought up in, I fully was like, I can see this, and kind of went in on that. We got more people involved, and it was kind of like what you're saying. The more people that got involved that had more of an influence, she kind of started just pushing the smaller people to the side. So I was one of those people in the beginning. And it is what it is. I never expected us to get to this point that we're at now, where she's actually hired somebody or tried to hire somebody and get to this point. But I don't know. It's crazy. But I it's still, none of it sits right with me. Grant's death is still very, very mysterious. There's a lot of things that play into this that we don't know the details on yet, and I don't know if we ever will know the details.
Yeah, it is very weird. And for people who don't know, because I hadn't quite gotten there yet, when he talks about tried to hire somebody, Angie is arrested. She's currently sitting in jail because a couple weeks ago, she physically went in person to meet with somebody, an undercover officer who was posing as a hitman. And I know that a lot of people think that this was a setup. All right, and Zach, you and I spoke about this earlier today. First of all, I can tell you I have a source that has been very reliable, very correct on everything. And I can tell you that based on that information, it was not a setup. But let's say that it was a setup. Even if it was a setup, she still went and met with somebody to hire a hitman. All right. And I know that there's a lot of people out there say, hey, she's a mom. She's at her wit's end. She doesn't know what to do. She's trying to protect her kids. And I can respect and appreciate that. I absolutely can. There are right ways and wrong ways to do things. And frankly, if you remember this, Zach, when we were doing this at the time, information had come out, allegedly, everything's alleged, okay, because I don't want to get sued by anybody. Everything's alleged. That allegedly the FBI was going to get involved, which took all of this out of Tennessee. So any Tennessee corruption that could have been there would have been gone, because his power sure as heck didn't extend outside of the state. And the FBI was getting involved because allegedly he had SA'd Gracie at a baseball tournament that Grant was at in North Carolina. And I don't know whatever happened with that. I never heard another thing about that, but I know that that was part of it, which means that if there's an FBI agent involved with this, then you know what I'm saying? Like that allows that is a path for justice. That's not hiring somebody to unalive somebody else.
Exactly.
The other thing that I want to say too, that I find interesting, and so Gracie, and I know Grant will say this to me too. Gracie, we met her. She's a kid. She's a nice, smart kid. She's a good kid. But she is now 18, and so she could also go and actually, I'm not shared this yet, but she can go to the police and file her own reports now, wherever anything happened. And if she did, I think that they would take that very seriously, even if it was inside or outside of Tennessee. I have been told that she was told not to do that.
Was it by anybody specific?
By her mom. So again, that's alleged.
Okay.
That's alleged till any more information comes out about it. But the point is, and we have the audio. She went to hire this hitman. She says that she didn't have any money, so she offered him basically what happened is she said that she told him, and you'll hear this in the audio when we play it, but she told him that when this is done, that there will be a trust fund worth millions of dollars that Gracie gets, and that they will have access to this trust fund, and that will be enough money to pay him, including paying him double. And he was like, look, I need some collateral. You know what I'm saying? I need to know, like, if I'm doing this. So ultimately she ends up giving him the registration to her vehicle, and that makes it a transaction. And that's what they were able to take her down with and ultimately arrest her on. And so when she was arrested, she was held on, and I've not done a video update on this one either, guys, but when she was arrested, she was held on $500,000 bond, meaning that she needs 10% of that, $50,000 plus collateral of $500,000, which she doesn't have that collateral. But yesterday, while in court, they reduced her bond to $250,000, meaning that she now needs $25,000 and something worth $250,000. And as I know, it sits right now, she's still sitting there. She has a public defender for her attorney. So that's kind of where everything is right now. The other thing that I want to bring up for people who don't know is that apparently, according to the docs and the court case that happened yesterday, Angie Solomon was not the only target that she had. There were two other people she apparently had her eyes on. Now, they have not named who those people are, but my understanding, and I know that you and I have talked about this offline, Zach. I don't want to guess. I don't want, because if it is any of the people that we've talked about, we definitely don't want to be on their radar until information comes out. Okay. But my understanding is people that are pretty high up, in the ballpark of the more top echelons of government in the state of Tennessee. So that is what I understand. So all of that, let's go back towards some of the beginning on this, because you met with her first. What do you kind of talked about the basic, but what else do you want to share with this, with your particular story? You can share whatever truth you want to share. I know that there's a lot that happened. So I don't want to go ahead and pick and choose for you, because there's a lot that happened that I know, and I don't know what you want to share and what you don't.
I mean, in the beginning, she was very, I don't know how to put it. She had a lot of evidence. Like she had her ducks in a row. Like she had everything laid out. And, I sat down with her, there were a few of us that sat down with her, over the course of the time, listening to her, trying to help figure out what was going on, the people that were involved, and how they were involved. And, she had her facts of the people that she blamed or that she wanted to hold accountable, and they were high up in government, and she had her reasons for what she believed and why she believed it, and who was involved. And there were some wild accusations in that. I'm not going to lie. Like there were some pretty wild accusations, but it's not that I didn't believe them, because like I said, I grew up in that kind of culture and those kind of things. So it's, piecing it all together, it made sense to me. To me, it was like, I don't know. Help me out here. Which way do you want to go with it? Because I don't want to say it the wrong way. I don't want to.
I mean, I don't know which way you're wanting to go with it. So it's kind of hard. Here's the issue that we have, guys. This is all still very new. There's I don't say millions, but there is a lot of layers to this. There is a lot of layers to this. It is very convoluted. And the only case that I can continue to compare it to is like the Murdoch, because Murdoch's, you had the financial crimes, you had the philandering, you had the murder, the big one. So you had a lot of things going on here, and it's very similar, because at the end of the day, you still have a kid who died very mysteriously. You have a daughter who has some pretty damning allegations, and you have a woman now hiring a hitman. It's a lot. So, I mean, Zach, I guess you could start, and if you start to kind of go somewhere we shouldn't go, we can talk about that. And the thing is, guys, it's not that we don't want to share it with you. It's that we have to. Oh yeah, the boat crash. Thank you for Murdoch. And it's not that we don't want to share it with you. It's just that we don't want to share anything too early that could jeopardize anybody's case, whether that be an investigation for Grant or Gracie, whether that be the hitman case for Angie, or investigations into Aaron or anybody else that could be involved in this. We don't want that. We don't want that to be on us. So we have to be cautious kind of on what we say up to this point in time. So I'll tell you what, you, Zach, just go ahead and say what you want to say. And if we need to rein you in, let me see. I have some sounds, right? Hold on. Let's see what I got. I got some sounds here. I can do this one, or I can do that one. I'll do that one for you if you want. So I'll be like, nope, let's back it up. All right.
Well, I mean, I guess one of the biggest things was when we did the protests. We were protesting a lot of religious people. We gathered a bunch of people in Nashville. There was a conference going on at the Omni downtown, and we had a bunch of people come in, and we were trying to make all this noise and stuff. I think that was when we really started getting a lot of national spotlight in that moment. We had people that drove 8 and 10 hours that day to come to that protest because they had seen this online, and you had the police department in Franklin doing what they were doing with the weird stuff. As in just like, there's video footage of certain things, like they were walking around at her house. I mean, remember that? Like they were in her backyard.
Like that protest too.
Do what?
And it was a big turnout for that protest too.
Oh, there was. We had hundreds of people that came for that protest, where we started at the courthouse and walked down to the Omni and back. And during that time, I really thought it was going to go somewhere. I really thought that there was going to be justice served. But that's back when you were looking at the FBI getting involved, but then they never did. It's like everywhere that we were trying to get the focus put, it was like, once you got that focus put on it, well, there was nothing there. It was always like there was nothing there, or nothing ever came of it. There were so many different things. And I feel like I'm so out of the loop now, because I was one of the first people that kind of got not ousted, but kind of pushed to the side, because I'm one of the smaller creators. I got creators that were larger than me to start looking at it, which then was a domino effect to get creators larger than them to start looking at it. Then you get involved in on it, because it was starting to, go bigger. And well, you and I were actually already kind of talking because we'd already kind of become friends through the billboard situation. And so, you were at the protest with us, and then that you kind of got you involved. And then it was kind of like after the protest, that was the kind of the time period that I kind of got pushed out, and everything else kind of went on, moving forward. But it was up until that moment, I was 100%, believing that the dad did it, I believed it. Like she had me convinced. And I look back on it now, and it's kind of like, I don't even know what to believe. Like, it's like, we've been told so many different things, or there's been so many different avenues that they were going to take. And every single one of those was a roadblock. And, I look at the situation as, were we misled? Is there that much deep corruption? There's so many different reasons or outcomes that could be from this, that it's almost like, how do you even speculate or guess at what you're talking about, all the different layers that are involved in this, all the different people that are involved in this, and how deep that actually goes with the corruption. I mean, but it's like, you still go back, and it's like, we can't say those names or talk about the people that we're talking about. But I mean, there were some wild accusations and allegations coming out about high up people in our government, and it being corruption, and
in religious institutions, for that matter.
Well, it's yes. I mean, it's these people that are high up in these political positions are in these religious organizations. That, I mean, it's kind of like it all went hand in hand. So do I think there's corruption? Yes. I think there's a lot more to this that we're not going to know, or that we're going to know over the next few months.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot to this, but let's shift gears for a second and talk about Erin, because she's levied some pretty harsh accusations against him, right?
Yeah.
And murder being one of them, SA of a child, his own child. Those are pretty big. There was also accusations, I think we can talk about this, of trafficking rings, and his position on a board being, it was a board for, what was the board that he was on?
It was some type of nonprofit working with children. I don't think it was trafficked children, but it was some type of nonprofit. I think it was like vulnerable children, or
the vulnerable children.
It was something to do with vulnerable children. And that was the one thing that really stood out for me. But it's in all of this, a lot of it was what Grant had said, or what Grant had told people. And that was the one person you couldn't go back and ask anything in all of this. Right before Grant's death, he went and spoke with Steve Berger, who was the pastor of the church at the time, who's no longer there. This has nothing to do with why he's no longer there, but you've got Angie telling people that Grant went and saw him to talk about the abuse that was going on, while he's telling people that Grant came to him to speak about how to get closer to God. So you know what I'm saying? Like, it's in the way that all this direction and the way that it goes, it's just kind of like, why and how, but it's all these people are connected that she's got all these allegations against. Like,
yeah. And you can see the dots, like you can see how they connect, if it's true. But then, part of me kind of started wondering, well, let me finish with Darren before I go into what I'm wondering, and get into some speculation here. But what I find very interesting about Angie Solomon, Zach, if I were to levy accusations against you that you killed someone, or you were SAing a child, what would you do? What would your reaction be?
Deny it right out of the gate. I mean, you would want to state your case. You'd want to get your voice out there. You would want to speak your truth.
Correct.
Which,
I mean, that's what I think too. And he hasn't. Again, the most that we've had from Angie Solomon, is a statement through his attorney and a couple defamation suits. Angie was on Nancy Grace. Angie was on, she was on Crime Junkies, wasn't she? That one, or
Crime Junkies. Then wasn't she on News Nation?
Yeah, she was on Banfield.
Okay, and then Nancy Grace,
and then a bunch of other podcasts, a bunch of other big creators got into this, got involved with this to help get the name out, and he just sits quietly and never does a thing, never denies it. And his sister on Instagram, she's kind of stopped because I got into it with her, keeps coming into my posts about him, talking some smack about me, because fine, you don't like what I said. I've been on Angie's side. I'm on the side of justice. I'm on the side of, something weird. Look, whether Aaron did it or not, Grant's death is weird. Nobody can deny that. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Grace, you know what I'm saying? There's no reason for me to believe that Gracie isn't telling the truth. Exactly. So I'm not going to sit there and deny that either. And so at the end of the day, you still have some pretty big accusations. And instead of him coming out, his family in the comments are fighting battles for him. And I said to the sister, Courtney, I said, look, if you want to talk to me, I'll give you my number. We can jump on a Zoom. We can have a chat. Nothing. I don't trust you. Fine. Don't trust me. I don't care if you trust me. Do you want to talk to Ashley Banfield? Do you want to talk to people at Law and Crime? Is there another creator that you're comfortable talking to? Because I'll put you in touch. It doesn't have to be me. I don't care if you talk to me. I don't need credit. If you want to get your story out there, I'll put you in touch with the people because I think that you should. Even, we talked about this before, even JP Miller got a fair shot on my platform.
Exactly.
And you and I talked about that today, as a matter of fact. But he got a fair shot on my platform, and I would do the same thing for Aaron or his family. Completely unbiased, no judgment. I would have my own feelings, obviously, because you can't help that, but it's not going to show publicly. And we're going to do that interview and let you say your truth. And every time they were offered it, they gave another excuse as to why they can't. And at the same time, and one of the things that she said was, well, why would he do that? He doesn't want to call his daughter a liar. I'm like, if your daughter's levying accusations against you that you S8'd her, then yes, you call her a liar if it's not true. That's what you do.
And like for me, it's there was the defamation case that he brought forth against Angie, but where did that whatever came of that? Like it never went anywhere.
He won.
Do what?
Didn't he? I think he won the defamation cases, or they settled. I think.
Really, I didn't see that part. I didn't know.
I think.
But why hasn't he gone after everybody else?
Well, I think that it depends on what you can do. You have creators that'll go, you know how it is. You have creators that'll go on and they will say things definitively, like Aaron Solomon definitely did this. Aaron Solomon definitely did that. When you use terms like allegedly, supposedly, according to report, then there puts some distance between you and those lawsuits. And I think that that's part of it. But at the same time, goes back to, and I'm not trying to sit here and do whatever, but it goes back to, if she's on Nancy Grace saying these things and they're not true, then you need to go on Nancy Grace. If she's on Ashley Banfield, you need to go on Ashley Banfield. If there are creators helping her, then and you're not guilty of these things, because to me, silence screams guilt. When it comes, the only cases that I've covered where people are quiet are when they're guilty. And a prime example of that is Chris and Roberta Laundrie.
Yes,
that's a prime example of it. They didn't say a word, never to this day.
And a lot of this was, a lot of what Angie's thought process in this was, it wasn't that Aaron had, she wasn't just accusing Aaron of essaying Gracie, but she was accusing him of doing it to Grant too, and
her,
and her. And once Grant become of age or was old enough to, fight back or say no, then it's when he, started preying on Gracie. So then you've got this whole time frame of Grant's getting ready to turn 18. He's going to petition the courts for custody of Gracie to get her away from Aaron. At the same time that, you've got this mysterious death with Grant. And like we both said, there's nothing that will ever convince us that death is not mysterious, because when you've been to that place and you see what he claims, it's not physically possible for Grant's body to not have been torn to shreds,
especially when you
that
look at
was
the
the way
reports.
he did die.
And when you look at the reports, they don't match.
Nothing. Yeah. And where were the three guys in the van? The three guys in the van. Whatever happened to them?
Yeah. Agreed.
The 911 call alone was enough to do me in. Just listening to the call.
I think in a different episode we need to get those. I might have them in a previous thing, but we need to get those in the call again. And I'm sure one of us has it. And play those for the people to hear that, because I think that it's important. But yeah, so I'm not sitting here saying that Aaron is this innocent, good guy at all. I don't know anything about him other than what Angie has told us. But the only thing that I can say about him is I heard that 911 call just like you did, and it sounds very suspicious. And I know that he's never said a word to deny it. So at the end of the day, to me, that sounds like complicity, but whatever. Now, you've not yet heard. Do you want to stay on and listen to the court recording?
Yes.
Okay. So real quick for my TikTok folks who are coming in, we're getting ready to come on and play the court yesterday, which basically what we're going to be showing was this is where she pled not guilty to, trying to hire a hitman. And this is the audio from the body cam footage that the undercover officer was wearing. That's what you're going to get to hear. All right. And I will go ahead and tell you, it is a little bit lengthy. Angie, if anybody who's met Angie, this is not an insult. I'm the same way. Angie is a talker. All right. Angie will tell you your whole life story before you can even know what's going on. And I mean, I'm kind of the same way. So that's not me like being mean to her about it. It's just she's a talker. So be forewarned on this, but we'll go ahead and get it queued up. If you want to jump over, I'll give people a couple seconds who are on TikTok who want to jump over. We're talking about Angie Solomon and Angie and Aaron Solomon, as well as Grant and Gracie, justice for them, Angie's arrest. And what we're getting ready to play is the court audio. Well, it's going to be video too, but the audio from the hitman yesterday. So if you want to jump over, we'll give it a second. And then onto YouTube, same name. And then we're going to go ahead and play it. But we'll add it to the stage in the meantime. And I'm going to leave you up too, Zach, instead of just the whole thing. So we can get like live reaction,
Okay.
blind reaction. So this thing looks like it's been playing for us.
I'm glad I didn't watch this yet.
Yeah. And this is not the whole thing. This is just, I can send you the whole thing. This is just that part. So I think everybody's jumped over. It's probably going to jump over. Let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to mute us. I'm trying to get it to unmute, play this. Okay, if this doesn't work though, this way, I can do it a different way because the audio is not there. All right, give me 1 second, guys. I have another way that I can do this since this is being challenging. I don't know where the audio went. All right. Hold, please. 1 second. All right. All right, guys, we're getting it queued up. Big on my screen, so we can bring it to this screen. All right, present. Share screen. This is it. Here we go. All right, if you guys, let me know if y'all can hear that in the comments. Zach, give me a thumbs up if you can hear it. Well, nobody's talking right now. It's just a bunch of buzzing. Y'all hear any noises? There's no sound. All right. Well, all right, guys, technical difficulty. You got to love this stuff. Hold on, guys. No noises yet, huh? All right, let's try this again. All right, you got to love technical difficulties. We're going to get this to work. If I have to do it a different way.
Was the undercover cop that she met with, was that a man or a woman?
A man.
It was a man? I thought it was a woman for some reason.
If I go to present, try this again, share screen, higher screen, this screen. All right, let's see if we can get some. Let's see if we can get some sound this time. You let me know. All right, I'm going to put it up here on the thing. Play. Anything?
Nope.
All right, then here's what we're going to do. I won't be able to hear you, but here's what we can do. that's not good. You'll hear it now? You can't hear it through. You can't hear it through this.
Nope.
Well, there's nobody talking right now. Hold on. Ah, this is rough. I have it and I can hear it. You gotta love.
When you're hitting share screen, does it give you an option? Is there somewhere to click to say include audio?
Yeah, it's on.
Oh,
It says that it's. So that was my feedback. Yeah.
yeah. All we
Got
were
any
getting was
ideas?
mic feedback.
Who's got any ideas on this? I do. Well, we might have to put a pin in this one, and I hate that because this was my whole plan doing it today. You know what I could? It'd be a pain to do, but I wonder because since they can't hear it on the thing, I wonder if somebody said, "If I unplug the headphones, I won't be able to hear him." Oh, they're saying to unplug the headphones to see if that does. I don't think that would do anything. Let me try one more thing, guys. I'm going to end the TikTok live because y'all won't be able to hear it anyways. If you want to jump over to YouTube, I have an idea. I'm going to try to do it that way. All right, I have an idea. I think this is going to work. That's all the way back to the beginning. What I think I can do, as much as I don't want to do it this way, is I can play it on. I'm going to play it. I'm start playing it at the same time when it hits. Hold on. Yeah, it's going to be a pain, but yeah, we're going to do. No. There we go. So I didn't mean to mute myself there. So it's lined up. It's going to start around 4 minutes. So you have a second. We have a little bit left. I'm going to just go ahead.
Agent Atkins, I'm going to stop right there. Whose voice did we hear on that audio?
It would have been mine and the informants. Hey, we're in the car. You still right here? No. Where you at? Alright, we're kind of in front of Macy's where we're Chili's in the shoe station, but like in the parking lot.
Judge, can you hear it okay?
I can hear fine.
Okay.
Okay, alright, thank you. Yeah, I wanted to park a little bit. Oh, there you go. Tell her kind of walk a little bit. Yeah, part two. Yeah, don't park in the same road as us. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, so that's okay. Okay.
We're not saying anything right now.
Who's the voice that is bringing up?
Mrs. Solomon.
Okay. And voice, please.
She's raising her hand. Let's see what else.
Zach, they're saying they can't understand it. Can you? Did I get?
It's like really distorted.
Okay. You do that?
It was really distorted the other way.
You hear that though? You can't hear anything coming through? Well, guys, I'm going to figure out another way then to do audio. I'm going to figure out another way to do audio. I'm not sure why it's not working. So we tried it out with the goal today. We had the screen recorded. We had it on there. It should have worked. So I don't know what to say, but basically I can send it to you, Zach, so you can look at it and then we can redo this portion of it.
Yeah.
And I'll have to try to figure out why it's not working, what's wrong with the settings, or if maybe I can just download the video directly. So that's what we're going to probably have to do. So, thoughts?
Works for me.
Works for you? Okay. Because it's still playing for me. Well, all right, guys. We have a lot more to this. I'm sorry that didn't quite work the way that we had hoped that it would work. It's very disappointing. I really wanted you guys to hear this. So I'm going to figure out how to get this to do it, and then we'll come back. So stay tuned. I think that probably trying to go from a speaker to a mic is distorting it a little bit more because it's already kind of difficult to hear. So let me see if I can find a way to get it and then get it added to this. What's interesting is that it should have been going through. It doesn't matter what it should have been doing. It doesn't doing it. So, all right, Zach. Well, I appreciate you coming on, guys. I don't have anything else to talk about. We kind of gave you a little bit of background. So if this was your first time hearing it, it is disappointing that we weren't able to listen to the audio on this call. But I should hopefully try to figure out how to get that to work maybe tomorrow, and maybe you guys can hear the entire thing. So
sounds good.
All right, and I can let you know if you're not busy, Zach. If you want to come back on, you can do.
Yeah,
that.
I'll definitely be back. I'll make it happen.
All right, everyone. I appreciate it, Zach. Thanks for coming on, and I will see you guys soon. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.